I'm SP from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a show about the general Marvel comic universe, part of the GonnaGeek network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other hilarious and fun geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Welcome to an all-new Better Podcasting Live chat. I am Steven. This is episode 40, and with me, of course, is the wonderful SP.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? It's Tuesday night. It is the night after Monday Night Football, 2 nights after the Emmys, and we have a bunch of fun stuff to talk about tonight.
And 2 nights before Thursday Night Football.
I know, it's such a short thing, and I don't play fantasy football anymore, but I was just, a bunch of guys in the office do, and the stuff that they have to do between Monday night when the games are final for the week and Thursday night with the waiver wire, setting their rosters for the next week and everything. I'm like, geez, just way too, NFL is too spread out. They need to condense a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. That is an interesting shift, but we're not talking the NFL here on Better Podcasting Live Chat. No, we're going to talk about podcasting and some of the latest in our world of podcasting. And we have an announcement in a minute here, but before we get there, I want to just point out something that came up this week. So how long have we been doing Better Podcasting for, SP?
We've been doing it since October of 2015, so just shy of 6 years.
Since we launched it, even episode 0, we have been every episode on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, I think there's been times that it failed to stream or whatever, but we've always put one up on YouTube.
Yes, exactly. And we have also used the same music for a very, very long time, correct?
We have not changed the music for Better Podcasting since the beginning. It's all been the same.
Well, guess what SP discovered today? SP discovered, he went into our YouTube channel and he discovered over the last few months, we've been getting content IDs on our live streams for the Better Podcasting music that we own, that we both have individually purchased the track for legally through pond5.com. And I just wanted to bring this up because I never got a YouTube notification. Normally we get a copyright notification or something like that if that happens. Didn't notice this at all because it's shoved in the awkward place that is the live section of the YouTube creators panel. But apparently just out of the blue started coming on back, even though we own licenses to it. So today I went and I submitted on one of them. I thought I'd see, well, is this legit or is this someone fake copywriting claiming it? And so I submitted it and, it did the thing that Pond5 says, which is to explain. And sure enough, it got approved as, or whatever it is. Basically, I was deemed right. So I don't know. It's just out of the blue. After so many years, it just decided to come on back.
This is a classic case of somebody just trying to, or some bot. I don't know what happened.
I think it was Content ID. That's the thing that's interesting about it is I thought it was Content ID, but that wouldn't make sense because why would none of the other ones be flagged? I don't know.
I think somebody was trying to put a ownership on the views so that they could monetize it on their channel. That's my take on it. I could be completely wrong. And if they get away with it, they get away with it.
So anyways, keep your eyes on the YouTubes, and if you own a legitimate license, then make sure you reference where you bought that from. And if you don't own a legitimate license, then you know what, it's on you, because you should not be using unless it's royalty free and blah blah blah, all that other stuff. You shouldn't be using music that you're not allowed to use in your podcast. We've said that before, and we'll say that 1,000 other times.
No, and I've known other professional podcasters to go ahead. I mean, professional podcasters, podcasters that podcast for money, they throw in just music that they know is copyrighted, or they throw in a copyrighted scene from a movie or a news clip or something like that. And I'm just here to tell you that the content ID on YouTube and within the podcast directories, the main ones, Pandora, Spotify, Apple, they will catch you, and you will have to make reparations. You'll have to pull the episode down. In some cases, you will have to pay money. So it's just not worth it, in my opinion.
Anyways, I wanted to share that because that was today's news in the better podcasting world. I don't know. I felt like that should maybe have an echo on there, but it won't. Okay, so let's just get to the announcement because that's going to lead to some of our content here. And if you listen to the Better Podcasting main show, you would have actually heard this in episode 259. It's the same announcement that we had over there, which is that we're going to be taking a hiatus from this show. We've decided for a variety of different reasons that we are going to take a hiatus from this show. If you want to hear about some of the reasons we might be taking the hiatus, well, we're going to get into specifics in a minute. But in episode 259, we talked about what a hiatus could do for your podcasting, why you might need to, and all of that stuff there. So check that out, betterpodcasting.com/259. And yes, that is this show as well. We are planning to hopefully come back with better podcasting in early 2022. However, I'm not making a commitment here, okay? Because here's the thing. SP and I, it's not turmoil. It's nothing like that. We are both, we both decided to do this. I will get into specifics more in a minute here. I did lead the charge on this. SP is a fantastic person to co-host. Him and I are both good friends. We chat on a regular basis. So it's nothing like that. But we need to look at what things are going to look like with better podcasting. And live chat, as you might know, is only 40 episodes old and only a couple of years old. So who knows where that'll fit. So we will see where that all fits. I just don't want to say for sure we'd be coming back with a better podcasting and a better podcasting live chat. We'll see how it all shakes out. We're going to figure that all out. In any case, you should keep your ears out towards the end of December because we will have some form of update then that we will definitely drop in this feed as well so that we can kind of give you an idea of what's going on. But as it stands, Better Podcasting will not come back until 2022. And should I just get into some of the reasons why, SP?
Yeah, go ahead, because a lot of people might be asking this is the middle of September. Why are you waiting until 2022? And there are legitimate reasons why we wouldn't come back before then. So yeah, Stephen, go into it.
So if you want to hear our nice polished setup again, you can go check that out at the segment of episode 259 at the end there. We get a little bit, we have a smoother transition on it. But for me, the bottom line is the biggest driver is for a long time now, I've been trying to find the balance between podcasting and my personal life. This is something that has been a challenge for me for a while. I talk very highly about SP. I also talk very highly about my co-host Chris Farrell, that is, or I say our co-host Chris Farrell on the GonnaGeek show, because both of them have been so supportive to me with my life. I've been podcasting for like 12 years now, and a lot has changed in my life. Having two younger kids that are getting older, I've been struggling for this for a while, and I'm trying to figure out how I can fit it all in. And pretty much the last few, this is where I'll get more transparent than episode 259. The last few times that I've taken a bit of time off, like a week or so, 2 weeks off of podcasting, I have struggled to come back to the podcasting because of the family relationship. A part of it has been comments that the kids have made as they get a little bit older. Some has been me questioning how does this all fit in with the balance with family, because we've talked about before, SP and I are very different points in our lives. His kids are making him an empty nester here, unless, they drop a dog off or whatever. But that's different points in our life. And I am in the point that, like, truthfully, if it wasn't for COVID, I would have probably been many events a night or a week trying to get kids around there, but over the last couple of years. So here's the thing is I got to figure out how that all fits. And at the moment, the balance isn't right for me. That's where it is the balance isn't right for me. And as you know, a couple of weeks ago, we took a week off, and I made the decision then that I needed to take a hiatus. And again, I'll get a little more transparent here because it's Better Podcasting live chat. I actually, after that, sat down with Chris and SP, and I said, hey, here's the thing is, like, I know I need to take a hiatus and figure out how podcasting fits in. It's just, as I come back to my podcasting, I'm not feeling the way that I was about it. I still like podcasting with you guys. I like the topics, but the whole combination isn't really working. And so that's where I said I initiated it. Now, SP and I got talking about better podcasting. The three of us, SP, Chris, and I got talking about the GonnaGeek show, and we figured out all the details in there. But ultimately, when SP and I decided to talk about to do this, we decided we would take the hiatus for the rest of the year because we were faced with two things, two options. One was we wait, we take it later, and we find a way to push through some busyness coming on with SP's life, which he'll talk on in a second there. Or we just recognize that, hey, we'll take a hiatus towards the end of the year. And December is always crappy as it is to try to podcast. It's always so busy for both of us. We take a couple weeks off as it is. And it's almost the end of September. So basically, we're taking a couple of months before sort of a December hiatus.
Steven, you mind if I break in
go
for
ahead.
1 second? So December, so we've been taking a couple of weeks off in December for GonnaGeek and for better podcasting for years, right? But a lot of people don't realize that the lead up to take those 2 weeks off, we are actually expending significantly more energy. I won't even say it's 2 times. It's more than 2 times the normal time and effort that goes in at the beginning of December, in the middle of December, when in order to take those 2 weeks off, because we release an episode on one of the weeks. So we pre-record one of the episodes, and another week we actually legitimately take off. But in order to pre-record, it takes additional effort. In addition, they're specials. We're GonnaGeek and for better podcasting. So those take more work. So we are crunched for time in December. The holidays, the last few years, even though it's really fun, we both have fun doing it. It is a definite conflict between family time or even work time, friends time, and podcasting time. So it's not just taking the 2 weeks off. It is the prep earlier in December that is also an issue.
A really good point. So we took a look at it and we decided that it made sense to do the hiatus over the next few months for that, for a couple different reasons. And I said SP is busy. And what's going on, SP? I know we briefly touched on it before, but let's bring that up right now.
Yeah, okay, so let me back up a second, because you said a lot of stuff about family, and it got me thinking. When I first started podcasting almost 11 years ago now, it's almost 11, it's got to be 12 for you by now. So almost 11 years ago, my kids were 9, 13, and 15. You fast forward, they're all 11 years older, they're all in college or graduated, whatever. But my kids were older than your kids, so they were a lot more self-sufficient. They were kind of set in their activities that they were doing, and it was just easier to deal with older kids. That's not always the case, but with my kids it was. So that allowed me to go into podcasting more fervently than before. Maybe you know, somebody with younger kids that might need a little bit more attention, or you feel more drawn to them or something like that. So just different spaces that we are both in now, and we both were in when we started podcasting, whatever. So some of the reasons for the break is talking about my kids. My older daughter is getting married in October. It's no secret. I've been talking about it since January, since she got engaged. The whole COVID thing with how many people are coming, is there going to be allowed to be a ceremony? How many people can actually come? How many people can we fit in the reception area? That whole thing, it is a nightmare this year to pull off. And of course, people want to get married to get on with their lives. So people are sitting down and actually going through all this. But I'm just telling you, behind the scenes, just to pull off even I'll call it a medium-sized wedding, it is a ton of work. And we still have a wedding planner that's involved, thank gosh, because if we didn't, I don't know where we would be. But we have like dress fittings that the girls have to go to in mass, you know, have to make sure all the suits are ordered or tuxes are ordered. And there's catering, and had to do a catering taste testing. How do you do that in COVID times? There's ways to do it, but it's all up in the air. And takes a significant amount of time. So I need some additional time to have off for the wedding. And that basically is starting now. So ramping down Better Podcasting and GonnaGeek in September really is a good thing for that. And honestly, I'm going to be very busy between now and the wedding. I also have some personal home projects that I need to do. The home studio here needs some work. I don't know if I'll get to that or not, but we'll see. I also have that car engine that I swore it was going to be done this year, or the car was going to be gone, one of the two. My son has now said he wants the car back, so I need to finish the engine, or I need to get rid of the car, one of the two. Also, my daughter, the younger daughter, not the one that's getting married, had a puppy. We saw Puppy Cooper on the last Better Podcasting live chat. He's not in the studio tonight. And he is now mine to care for at least the next few months, if not the next few years. That's an additional time burden that I did not count on. And he is taking a lot of time because he is a very large sports dog. He needs a lot of exercise. I can't exercise him too much. Can't take him on a 3 to 5 mile run because he's too young and his joints will not react well to that. He'll end up limping and stuff like that. So I have to walk him for a long time, not too long. So about 3 miles. That takes an hour out of your day. And you're just like, oh, whatever, that's an hour. Well, when you're working 8 hours a day, you commute another hour. So that's 9 hours. You have to sleep 8 hours a day. You have to eat certain amount of time, and you're podcasting X amount of time. That means that 1 hour actually eats into a lot of time, a lot of disposable time that you would normally have for podcasting. So that's taking time away from podcasting right now for me too. And then after years of podcasting, and I wanted to slip this in here somewhere, back on our episode 50 of the Better Podcasting main show, I had 15 golden rules of hobby podcasting. The one that we've referred to the most, and they're all still valid, by the way, but the one that we've referred to the most is don't do more than 2 hobby podcasts per week if it's your hobby, right? Well, I've been exceeding that for a while, and we've made excuses how I've been able to do it. There is still stuff behind the scenes that has not gotten done. There is file management on my computer. There is backup management on the computer. There is graphic design. There are updates that need to happen. And quite frankly, some podcasts that haven't been edited for years that I would still like to get out there and know it's a lost cause, but just for completion's sake, I would like to get them out. So there's a ton of stuff behind the scenes that I would love to get to, and I just haven't been able to because I've been firewalling the actual production of podcasts per week. So will a hiatus magically fix all that? Just a couple of months, even though I'm busy with the wedding, will a couple more months help that? Yeah, it'll help, but it won't solve it. So that is a big thing too. So yeah, those are the reasons, the main reasons. Of course, there's tons of other reasons, but those are the main reasons that I personally thought I needed a hiatus. So it wasn't just Steven, and there are legitimate reasons. And a couple years ago, I took a sabbatical, I guess, from GonnaGeek. And
what was the reason for that, SB? What was the reason for that?
The car engine. Which
car.
I did rebuild the car engine. I put the car engine back in the car, turned the key. It worked great for 2 seconds and then seized up. So I've done this before. The thing that went wrong was done by somebody else that came in to help. And it's very frustrating because now I have to spend all the time and money in order to bring it back. And who knows if I'll be able to put it back together or not. But I took a hiatus for that for one show, and I was able to do one thing with that time. So there's a limited amount that you can do with the time off, and there's a limited amount of time that you can do with life. It's all about prioritization. So anyway, the big thing I'm saying is there are reasons. If everybody's blaming this on Steven, please don't, because there are legitimate reasons why I need some time off to get caught up. And then, quite frankly, if we're going to continue on with these shows, to do some future planning with
Yeah.
the shows to make them better for the future, stuff that we haven't really been able to do because the format's been pretty static for a while.
100%. And that was the next thing I was going to mention right now that I thought it was important for us to mention is that we legitimately have appreciated everybody that has wrote us over the years. And it's been huge for keeping us going. I said at the beginning of this has been a little bit of a long time coming for me. And, Better Podcasting Live Chat just truthfully was spun out of us trying to, I can never say the word, but spark new life into, spark new joy into better podcasting and try to shake things up a little bit. And here's the thing, though, it's continued to sort of be static as the Better Podcasting main show, kind of the same format and whatnot. And so we want to look at that and look at the GonnaGeek show. And like you said, if they come back, which our hopes is that they'll come back, look at what there can be. What can the release schedule be? What can those shows look like to breathe more long-term life into them? Because I think Better Podcasting Live Chat's been great. I've loved having people come to the chat room. It's been really easy for us to do as well, but I think it was almost a Band-Aid. So we got to look at the bigger picture, and I have not been able to figure out what that would look like. I feel like we've kind of been running and still trying to have a conversation while we're running about the future of better podcasting. So I think it's a good opportunity just for us to look at all of this and figure out what that will look like. And again, on GonnaGeek, what that could look like as well. So I say all of this because in some of those struggles, because topic creation isn't always the easiest, the audience really has been huge for putting that wind in our sails on certain times. Full disclosure, there have been episodes where we were very short before the recording session to create said content. So that and a lot of that has come, just like a lot of the things that has pushed us through that has been audience interaction. So thank you, audience. And I wanted to say it right now because I do want to appreciate the audience and just say, like, behind the scenes sort of challenges that we've kind of had with content creation has been definitely given a shot in the arm by you. And the reason we're being so transparent with you on this here is because we're a show about creating podcasts. So we figured that if we share a little bit with you, hopefully we'll help you as well.
Yeah, two things, since you brought up the fact that Better Podcasting Live Chat was kind of a Band-Aid as we kept on running into what we thought that Better Podcasting was going to be in the future. We started Better Podcasting Live Chat pretty much when COVID started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't because of COVID. We actually made the decision before COVID.
Yeah.
But it was about it was so close. It was the same time. And because the pandemic has kept on going the entire time, we haven't made a change in that. So Better Podcasting Live Chat has existed pretty much this far because of the pandemic and not a conscious decision as to going forward. So that was one thing that I wanted to say. And the other thing I wanted to say is thank you to all of our audience that have reached out to us personally and publicly since we made the announcement on the last podcast. I have gotten so many thank yous, and we were looking forward to seeing you back in 2022 because we said we'd be back in 2022. I've gotten so many of those that thank you to everybody that's reached out. You are the reason that we've been doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And those messages prove to me that what we have been doing has been needed for other individuals. And I don't think it's any different than when we started the show 6 years ago, but there has been a need for this type of show. There's been several messages of, yeah, I've listened to several shows about podcasting, but yours is the one that I have most credence into because you're not doing it for money and you're doing it for the same passion and fun that I'm doing it. So you're speaking to me. Yes, those other shows have great advice, but inevitably it goes down the path of, no, you have to do this for your company, or you have to do this for your email list, or you have to do this for revenue for the podcast. And while we're not going to say that that is not a legitimate thing for podcasting, we know that there are other people out there like us that podcast for fun. And there is not another show out there like Better Podcasting for those individuals. I've conferred with several people in the industry, other podcasters about podcasting at Podcast Movement, and everybody said, yeah, there is nobody else. You guys are it. So yeah, we do this for you. And the fact that you reached out to us after the announcement means a lot to us.
Agreed. In our chat, because we are streaming this live, I would give the time of the day, but we're taking a hiatus, and who knows what the recording will be in 2022. We have Betsy that says, will you still be checking your email? Would like to reach out to you and keep you posted about my podcast when it drops. Absolutely. So that's a great segue, because we want to talk about some of the things that we're going to try to do during our hiatus, because I mentioned I want to try to find that balance, because I do like podcasting. Like full transparency, I trying to go through the rationale, I have thought about, is there a place for podcasting in the future? Like, I think that's a legitimate question you have to ask yourself if you're in a position like me. And I still like podcasting. So I'm trying to figure out how that will all work. And so I will continue to check the email here. And SP, here's the thing is SP's a few hours ahead of me, so he always beats everybody. But maybe I'll be better at checking emails. I'm terrible at emails. I'm the first to admit it. I'm awful at checking emails. But hey, you know what? SP will still be on the inbox, and he'll tell me all the important things. So
not only email, but we will still be in a Discord server, which you can find at betterpodcasting.com/Discord. And we will be on Twitter at BetterPod. We do have a Facebook page, but we don't check that as often. One of the reasons is I don't have a Facebook page, but that is still, if that's your only way to get to us, you can try to get to us through there. But the main ways to get to us are email, our Twitter account. And if you want not only us, but other people like us that also are in podcasting and might know some things about podcasting that we don't, then go to betterpodcasting.com/Discord. I'll give you an example that has reared its head recently, and that's Hindenburg. Neither of us have used Hindenburg. Damien, the DM from Aurelia Pod, has used Hindenburg for a while. Is a fervent supporter of it, and he's a fan of it, and he can answer your questions because he's used it for a while. So that's just an example. If you have other questions, there are other people on there that can answer it. There's also a tech and gear channel on there, and there's people that know different tech and gear than we do. There's people that work legitimately in the IT support world that are in there that can help you out with a computer problem or a network problem that we might not be able to. And there's smart home stuff in there. I mean, there's tons of stuff in the Discord. So we will be there. We're not leaving there.
No.
We will also be on Twitter and, of course, our email. For those, because we know several of you only communicate to us in email. The email is still going to be there. The domain is still going to be there. We're not getting rid of betterpodcasting.com.
So we're going to hopefully do some other things in between as well. And so for me personally, I'll say right now, so people aren't, coming up with weird conspiracy theories or anything like that, you might see a new project come out that is not podcast related. That is something that I could do after the hours, after the kids go to bed. It's something that I've talked about before with SP and Chris, and we'll see. I've got a couple of videos that are largely there, ready to be released, and we'll see what happens with that. So don't be surprised if you see that. I want to spend a little bit of time on the GonnaGeek network and maybe finally get that long overdue facelift done. We'll see about that.
Mobile compatibility and stuff.
Yeah.
I know you're really looking forward to that Zoom P8 unboxing.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had known of this. But I also want to maybe take a look at some other hobbies. Maybe go to my roots and play a few extra video games. Get some video games going for a little bit. I probably won't because I suck at playing video games.
I don't know. You know, me personally, I have tried to carve out time for video games, and I suck at video games too, but I love playing them. I mean, I played video games since the Atari 2600. I missed a couple of generations because of stuff going on in my life, which I might actually get into in 2022. This is something that Stephen and I will talk about offline, and we'll talk about. But I directly correlate the time that I would spend video gaming to the time I'm doing podcasting. And in my mind, I'm like, I would love to video game, but I'm having fun podcasting too. So it's a wash to me. It's like the fun time I have, and I choose to spend it podcasting versus video games. That said, I have, until recently. I have all the recent consoles. I don't have the brand new consoles, but I have the recent consoles, and I can do all the games, and I make sure that I'm up to date with all that stuff. So yeah, wasted money, but I'm old, so.
And most importantly for me, I obviously want to spend time with the family. That's the number one thing, is spending time with the family, and then looking to see what I can do if I want to keep podcasting, which at this time, I do feel that I want to find that in some capacity, and what that would look like, and then open up those conversations with wonderful SP and wonderful Chris, and see where that would go. So trying to find that balance, that's what's going to be important to me. I have podcast right through since my kids were waiting to come out. And so I've had podcasting in my life for that time. And so I think like the hiatus for me should help me frame a little better what is the time that I should be spending with the family. But also, and this is again something that I've talked about behind the scenes a little bit, is what is the time that I am allowed and I owe myself to take for my own hobbies, right? And so I think just having a bit of time to look at that with no podcasting to do should allow me to figure that out. And then, of course, tackle the answers to those questions. Do we need to make a change with better podcasting? What would that look like? And does that align with SP? And is SP going to slash my tires when I make a suggestion on better podcasting? All of these questions need answers.
There's no slashing of tires. I mean, we do have some decisions to make, but I mean, in all honesty, we're on 2 different time zones, and it wouldn't be so bad if we were back-to-back time zones, but I'm literally 3 hours different from Steven. And so
you're trying to get me to move, aren't you?
I actually want to move. I've been trying to move. So that is a consideration. Also, I brought up the kids before and the ages and that sort of thing. Steven's kids are still younger, so I'm just speculating here. I'm not Steven. I'm not his parenting, whatever, but I'm just guessing that, the kids are going to need some attention until a certain time. And at that time, he gets to have some personal time. What time is that? Pacific time, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Okay. So what time is then for Chris and I on the East Coast time? It's 3 hours later. So 8 translates to 11, 10 or 9 translates to midnight, 10 translates to 1 a.m. That's on the weekday. On the weekend, it's a little bit more flexible. However, then you're biting into that weekend time. So again, all conversations that we have to have, we legitimately have not had any discussions about that particular thing, but I know it's going to be a concern moving on. So it's I'm stumbling over words a little bit because we haven't made any decisions, and we've actually deliberately decided not to speculate until we're well into the hiatus. We really want to take some time off. So we don't want to seed the battleground, so to speak, with obstacles that become pillars that we have to work around. So it's all fluid right now, but these are all considerations that are floating around in our minds.
Oh, and the last thing I should mention, by the way, that I obviously am going to do with my time off, which is obvious. So it's obviously obvious, which is obviously I need to work on my Christmas display because it's September and basically Christmas is over at this point.
So true story. I have been, as I mentioned, I would like to move. So one of the things about moving is to clean up your house. I've been in this house for, let me think for a second, 18 years. Built this house. I have been in this house for 18 years now. After 18, if you haven't moved in a couple of years, stuff starts to pile up, right? So I am now taking time to go through the house and throw away, give away, to sell different things. Part of that is old Christmas decorations that are no longer working, valid. They don't work for the situation anymore. Just things that were fads at the time that just is not sustainable. So I have started to throw those into the recycling bin. I haven't done any of those Christmas decorations yet because I've had things like old ceiling fans that I've had to throw away that I have no idea why I kept. Nobody wants those, by the way. Even reclaim stores are like, oh, it's electronic. No, I don't want it. So it's just junk. And I kept them at the time of thinking, well, if this new fan breaks, then I'll have a replacement for it, but I'll just go to the store and buy a new one. So and things need updating over time anyway. So yeah, I've been doing that. So not to poo-poo you on your holiday decorations, but as you know, I have been updating mine. I basically started from zero again, and I've been updating mine. It's not as big as yours. Probably never will be as big as yours because that's seen from the International Space Station, but it is something that I need to do as well.
What are some of the other things that you might do while you're off?
Well, I'm definitely going to spend time with family. That's something that, as we podcast every night, I have dinner and then I run off in here. You're kind of on the other side. You're running to dinner and then you're spending time with people after that. So there's that. There's some creative projects that I'll probably get into. I've been thinking a lot about writing. I'm a terrible writer, but I've been thinking a lot about writing. And honestly, the people that I work with, I've noticed as they get older, they start thinking about writing a book, either a professional book or a work of fiction or something like that. So either that or maybe something along the lines of a new podcast that I've wanted to do for a while, because I have a couple of dozen of those ideas running around in my head. So I don't know, I might start to map one of those out a little bit better and just see if it's doable or not. Definitely celebrate the holidays without interruptions, at least without podcasting interruptions. And that includes shopping. That includes like cookie baking, the Christmas holiday decorations, like you were saying, doing the tree. And with the kids not being little and in the house anymore, more of that falls on to me. I have to do that versus somebody else coming and doing it. So I'll be doing that. TV shows. This is something that you might not think is a big deal. And I like to stay active. So I usually watch TV on the treadmill or elliptical or something like that. And I do have a sweet setup down there, but I've watched TV for my podcasts and I haven't really been able to keep up with TV and movies that are not related to my podcast. So yeah, just catching up on one or two of those would be fun. The big one that's podcast related, and Stephen, we've been talking about this for like 8 years, so it's no big surprise. I'm finally going to start to look into graphic design. I don't believe that I have a creative bone in my body as per graphic design, but I do believe if you're going to be a podcast producer, a hobby podcast producer, that you have to have the basic ways to create art and graphic for your show, whether that's a different graphic for each show, whether that is a promotional graphic that you put on social media somewhere, whether that is overlays for a video show like we have right here. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, or I don't know if you're streaming to Facebook or not, but you will see the Better Podcasting overlay that's there that I know Stephen has updated once since we started.
So true.
But I don't have it for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I do not have the flashing Better Podcasting on the screen for the audio listener. I do not have that for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I would like to have that either for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. or if we decide eventually just to stop Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., me and my co-hosts over there, Steven's not a part of that podcast, that I would be able to do a new podcast and keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, and be able to do graphic design. I feel a little bit, by the way, is the fact that I'm so old. So I feel that the younger generation, like my kids' generation, or maybe even you, Stephen, you're able to go to school and you're using Camtasia or whatever, and you're able to get into graphic design a lot easier. You're a special case because of a lot of reasons, but you're a special case because video shows have been your forte for quite some time. You went to school for it, that sort of thing. I'm just talking about general people in your generation on down. You're more apt to be able to produce graphics than me. I grew up on Fortran 77. I grew up literally with basic programming and doing little graphics on the screen using your keyboard keys, right? That's what I grew up on. And yes, I knew I'm a PowerPoint ranger at work. I can do graphics on PowerPoint, but you don't want PowerPoint graphics on your podcast. I have yet to see effective PowerPoint graphics in podcasting. So They might exist. I just don't know about them. So I would like to move up on that.
Can I use a PowerPoint remote? You know, the one that advances the slides?
I mean, I bet you could. Like if you were sharing your screen,
Yeah.
I think you could do that like even on StreamYard. I know I can share a presentation on StreamYard, so maybe I can do that, right? Do some guesting on shows. That's always available. That's fun. That's like the funnest fun for me because I'm doing something that's out of my normal, right? I don't have to edit afterwards, and I can literally have fun with people that want me to be on their show. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, SP is never going to guest on my show, yes, please reach out to me. I know a couple of you have, and I know I have not set a time for you, and that is because of my schedule over the last few months. But I am going to reach out to you and try to schedule some time here to guest on your show. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I already reached out to SP and he hasn't got back to me, we have talked. I will get back to you. And then maybe work on the studio here. I mentioned that already. It needs some actual major work, like not structural, but I need to redo drywall and need to redo carpeting, that sort of thing. So I hope to get some of that done, or at least the prep to do that stuff, or maybe hire it out. I don't know. We'll see. So that is what I'm planning to do on the hiatus.
While we were talking about that, we do have a couple of comments that came in our chat. First off was from Johnny Pennington. He goes, "Thanks a lot, guys. Your problems are now causing my wife problems. My wife has gotten a well-needed break from me for about an hour and a half each and every week for over 5 years. Now she won't have that well-needed and deserved break. Now, with you being gone for who knows how long, she's already pulling her hair out. I don't know what kind of collateral damage this will incur in my life. No more cooked dinners, no more smile on her face. Who knows what? Thanks a lot, guys. Bah humbug." And Johnny, first off, that is false. I have a couple emails over the 5 years of you saying, sorry, I couldn't make the show tonight. So don't lie, Johnny. Don't lie. That's just it's a lie. I'm only joking with Johnny because Johnny has been here from he found us really early on, and Johnny has been a loyal listener. There's a reason we call him loyal listener Johnny Pennington, because he always emails us when we stream, or most weeks he emails us when we stream. So thank you, Johnny. And again, our plan is still to hopefully come back. Just what that looks like remains to be seen.
This I have to say to Johnny. Johnny actually I don't know if I've talked about it on the live stream or not, but Johnny knows some of my plans are to try, and I have no idea between COVID, the wedding, I have no idea if this is even going to be possible, to try to see the first launch of Starship down at Boca Chica, Texas, which is around his area. I know Texas is huge, so I know, but go down to Boca Chica, and because we won't know the date until like the day before or 2 days before or something like that, that's a drive for me.
Wow.
It's at least a 2-day drive, but that's a drive for me. And just to do that would mean that I wouldn't be able to podcast. Yeah. So not having GonnaGeek and Better Podcasting to worry about on the specific record date. I know you would work all around it for me. I know, or we would live stream GonnaGeek or something like that. Right. But it is a consideration. And then Artemis the SLS is going to launch sometime. I mean, I don't know which is going to be first, and I don't know which is going to be first because of environmental assessments and other things going on, and actually building the infrastructure for Starship versus Artemis. Is the actual rocket development is slower, but they have all the infrastructure. So I literally don't know which is going to be first, but I am pretty sure they both will launch before the end of the year. So I would like to try to make one or both of those launches. I don't know if that's going to be possible. So not having the podcast actually helps with that. And Johnny, I know that's something that you and I have talked about before. So that's just another reason.
Also, we have Betsy. Betsy says, "I'm already crying, but my husband will be glad that we can do things together rather than me sitting at my computer." Oh, and Steven, post some Christmas pictures or video. Yeah, I will on the Discord. Come to betterpodcasting.com/Discord. I will definitely make sure to do that. Again, Betsy, our hope is to return back we're not like saying 100% just because you never know with the dynamic nature of all of it. And we're very clear when we gave what we thought would be good, our recommended advice for people taking a hiatus, that you should be clear with your listeners. So that's what we're doing right now. Again, don't know exactly what capacity it is, but hey, you know what'll be good? By the time we return, you, and not only you, Betsy, the other one that we're just talking about right now, Johnny Pennington, you'll both have launched your first episode. Hold you to it, both of you.
You know what might help them launch their first episode?
Oh, a Zoom
PodTrak P4, yeah.
Which is something you wanted to mention because you last Better Podcasting live chat, you did it remotely from the P4, and you've done a couple of purchases because of that, right?
I did. First of all, I fell in love with this thing. For a hobby podcaster doing what I do, I'm not saying all hobby podcasters this will work for, but this is like the device. I wish I would have had this device. Like before we were saying, I wish my first microphone could have been the AT2005 because that was great, or the Q2U or the ATR 2100. I wish I had the PodTrak P4 when I first started podcasting. I get giddy about the fact that this exists, that I used it and can use it in the future. It's not in my studio. It's not hooked up to my studio because, quite frankly, my H6 still can record a better quality audio using the setup that I have. So I don't think I'll transition to it. But if I wanted to slim down my studio, this would work great in my studio. I'm opening the box right now. And the first thing that I purchased, which is still in the package, is a TRRS cord, which is a male 3.5 millimeter to a male 3.5 millimeter. This will allow me to hook into a phone or a tablet and then pass information back and forth into that third channel, which is the phone channel on the P4. And I can bring in a guest that way. I could call my parents and bring them in on a podcast and record them that way or something like that. So that was needed. So here's the P4 right now. It doesn't have batteries in it because I don't store it with batteries in it because I've had bad luck with Zoom products and batteries being stored in it. But the other thing that I bought was a case. Now, in truth, this case is kind of huge in comparison. It's very wide, but it's wide so that you can put cords and stuff into it. Now, you're going to hear some rustling as I open up the package. Took it out of the little package. It came in an Amazon box in just that package, so it didn't come with a box. But here it is. And I'm going to open it. I'm going to unzip it.
I feel like for the audio listener, I should be doing some descriptive video here. SP opens up a black case that is approximately 8.5 inches by 11 inches. Probably not, but that's what I'm going to describe it as. The case has a outside sort of carbon fiber-y, not really look. And then on the inside is some foam with, it's not foam, it's a zipper.
You get some mesh for like cords and stuff on the cover. And then you get a separator here, which is, yeah, you're right. It's foam with eggshell in it. But on the bottom here, well, it comes with a little case too, if you wanted to throw it over your shoulder, like a purse. Or, I mean, what was it that Joey called it on Friends? It's a satchel or a man bag or whatever. And then it is the, I guess, kind of form-fitting for a P4 foam on the bottom. So I'm going to put the P4 in the foam. And yeah, it actually, it's not like entirely secure. Like the top of it, I would worry about, but it's in there. And I'll open the flap again, show it on screen. So there it is. Boom. So it is, I would say, wider from top to bottom than it really needs to be, in my opinion. But it is a lot more secure than just putting it open in your bag or even the box that well, maybe the box. But the thing about the box, if it gets wet, it'll start to degrade pretty quickly. So anyway, that is the PodTrak P4 box that I will be using and put in my go bag, because that's definitely going to get in the go bag. I might actually research another case that's slimmer than that. And the other thing I mentioned is my monitoring headphones that I was using came with these pads. They're the M Audio ATH M40X. And as you can see, those pads are pretty bad. So
they're gross. They look like they're falling apart and about to disintegrate.
So I bought some replacement pads, which are the same replacement pads that I bought for the M50X. And so there they are. And I'll save, well, I was going to replace these on the show, but I'm not going to because I want to make sure that those flakes don't fall on my keyboard or anywhere. So I will replace them with this. And it's pretty simple for those that have not done it. There is a lip around the back that you just pull back, and then you just feed this over the hard plastic. And you take the other one off first, and then you feed this over, and then it just slips right on. I will say we have already experienced these and the fact that the audio changes because of isolation differences, depth differences between your ear and the ear and the speaker because of the different pad and stuff like that. But versus not using it versus using it, these are well worth it. I want to say they were $20, but they could have been 12 or something like that. So for a pair of $100 headphones, I'll take a replacement ear cone any day, ear pad any day, and do that. So anyway, there you go. There's your show and tell.
That's cool. That's another thing that I got to figure out. I got to look at my P4 while I'm off as well. I just wanted to give a mention here in our Discord server. We had a question come up again. This was in a follow-up to our Better Podcasting Download, episode 259. We were asked whether or not we had tried DaVinci Resolve. This was Original Waffles that asked this, and Damien was right there, and he goes, it has come up fairly recently, and I think there was something about Resolve that doesn't work for both of them. I want to say Steven tried it again and couldn't do it, and what this turned out to be was, I did not try it yet, but we were told that by someone who brought this up after one of our more recent live chats, was that DaVinci Resolve, they use it and apparently will not do FLAC, F-L-A-C files. This is a big thing that has been in SP and my workflow for a long time, because here's the thing, when you're not working with FLAC files, you're working with full WAV files, and FLAC files are lossless audio. So basically they're a lot smaller files and they're the same quality. So we want to use lossless audio files that have the compression built in because we're pack rats. We both are pack rats. We like to keep our files long term. It's not a big deal using a WAV if you're going to use it, edit it, and then delete it. But for us, we keep all of those project files, and it is a huge difference between using an FLAC file, a FLAC file, and using a WAV file. I can't even explain how much of a difference it would make if we kept waves all the time. We both, I think, used to keep waves all the time. And so it's kind of become a showstopper for us. Last time I tried it as well, there was a few other things I wasn't wild about. I think for people who might not have used something like a more professional editor, like, I don't even know if they call it Avid anymore, or Adobe Premiere, or even Vegas. Vegas has been used by quite a bit of professional systems as well, but they all follow the same sort of layout. There were some things I didn't really like about DaVinci Resolve. However, they have refined them over the years because I've tried them at a couple different times, and it continues to get refined. There is a feature in there that used to be a showstopper for me that last time we talked about this in our chat, I was told that could be done. So that's great that that's in there now. So maybe I'll have to take a look at that. But at the moment, I'm happy with using Vegas Pro for now. But I do want to mention something that came up after we put that episode out. The summary is the Magix Movie Studio product that we have recommended for a long time can no longer be recommended by us because as of the current version 18, they have completely changed what the product is. And we're not using that loosely. We're not saying, oh, well, it looks different now. No, they legitimately have completely changed the product to be based off of another platform that Magix owns. And so because of that, we haven't tried that. We did at one point try the original product that it's based off of, and it was missing some things for podcasters. But we just can't recommend it because it's a whole other product than we used to have. Well, in the meantime, we found that what we speculated is exactly what happened. And what we speculated was that someone might be a longtime user of Magix Movie Studio, and every year they see the upgrade and they go, okay, I like it, I'll pay for it. And so they maybe saw that 18 was out. And sure enough, there's quite a few posts that we came across in community forums of people who said, hey, yeah, I saw 18 was out and I upgraded. And wait a minute, this isn't the product that I know. So refunds have been questionable. I've seen some people say that Magix is not doing refunds. I've seen some people indicate that if you look at the bottom of the email, there's apparently a link to a form you fill out. We have not done it. We won't be buying Magix 18, Movie Studio 18 to find out. But just based off of some of the questions in there, I wanted to bring that up right now. I did do my best actually to try to shoehorn those links to those posts into the Better Podcasting 259 post, just because we saw it after we recorded, but I wanted to mention it right now. Not the wildest about those practices if they're not doing refunds. I get that it's software. However, I will say that over the course of Better Podcasting, I have bought different software that do actually come with a 30-day return policy, and they just basically make your key null. So I question this and this business practice, but we'll see what happens. It's in the early stages, relatively speaking, of this whole version 18 thing.
Let me put it this way. Say you're using Magix Movie Studio 17. That is the equivalent of a GMC Sierra 4x4 pickup truck, relatively new, like a year or two used, since we're talking 17, Movie Studio 17. So let's just say it's a 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 4x4. Okay, that's 17. 18 is a moped. I don't care which moped it is. It's a moped. You spend the same amount to buy the moped that you did the Sierra 4x4. They actually call the moped the 2021 GMC Sierra 4x4, but you get a moped. That's what we're talking about. Completely different systems. And even though the capability is drastically different between my pickup example and the moped, there is a significant difference in capabilities with Movie Studio 17 and this new Movie Studio, what they're calling Movie Studio 18. It's a different, it's like it's even a different manufacturer. It's not a GMC moped. It is I don't know, I have nothing against Kias, but it's like a Kia moped. So it has nothing to, the two don't have anything to do with each other than the name Magix Movie Studio 17 and 18. There is no connection between the two whatsoever. And then you get the refund issue that we've been seeing right now. Cannot recommend it because we're not going to try it. We're not going to try the new one. And we've heard, I've read that it's not capable of doing some of the stuff that 17 had been able to do. So I don't even want to try it. And I will continue on with the Vegas. What is it now? Vegas Pro Edit for 19.
Yeah.
What is the actual title?
Vegas Edit.
Vegas Edit 19. Yeah. So in my full disclosure, I have purchased Vegas Edit 19. I have not used it yet, but I intend on it.
So have I.
And it's just the way that I'm going to go in the future. It's a very capable audio and video editor. I'm glad to have it. And I could buy it or could give them whatever it is, a monthly subscription, but I decided just to go ahead and buy it just in case I didn't want to renew it for the next year, like take a year off or something like that. But it's roughly equivalent. You're paying for a year of it basically, and I'm fine with that. So we'll see what it is in the future.
I will just, I don't 100% agree with your analogy, but I think it makes enough of a point about the difference that's good. But I do want to point out here that there was a post that I saw on a community forum called Movie Studio Zen. This Movie Studio Zen, I've watched a lot of videos from this person over the years, just because they've got a lot of good tutorials. And this is the post that they made. Movie Studio 18 has nothing to do with Vegas Movie Studio. They go, the Vegas Movie Studio product line has been canceled and retired. End of story. It's that simple. And then they get into a whole bunch of things. If you want to check that out, you can. You can go to www.geeks.link/zen post. That's geeks.link/ZEN post. and that'll take you to the one that I was mentioning because it's a big long-winded thing as well. That's going to go ahead though and take us towards the end of Better Podcasting Live Chat episode 40. I do want to say right now that again, we do really appreciate everybody. You have really kept us going over these years. This is something that I can't express enough how much you have meant to us. Now, I'm talking like it's the end of Better Podcasting. And again, we plan to hopefully come back in some capacity in 2022. But I'm mentioning it right now because we do know that we have listeners on this show that are different than the listeners on the main Better Podcasting show. And one of the things that we mentioned over there is that we recognize that when you take a hiatus like this, sometimes people won't come back. So if you're one of those ones that don't happen to come back, I want to, before you leave us, say thank you very much for the support over the years. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. And I just want to give that to you right now as a listener or a viewer.
Yes, thank you very much. You, as I mentioned before, you have been the reason that we've been doing this. We started with other reasons, but one of the main reasons was to help other hobby podcasters, and we have definitive proof of that, and we hope that we have helped you. And if you're just coming to Better Podcasting and you're like, oh man, they're going on a hiatus and I'm starting a new show, we have, between Better Podcasting Live Chat and the Better Podcasting main feed, now over 300 episodes that you can go back and listen to. Some of the advice is dated, granted, like blab. but the basics are the same. Video streaming is a different way to do podcasting, so okay. But if you have any questions, again, come find us. We will answer your questions. If you are listening to an older episode and you're like, is this stuff still valid? We will say yes or no, and then we'll point you in the right direction. So thank you very much for listening to Better Podcasting. We really appreciate it. We intend on returning in early 2022. I would love to say we intend on returning the second week of January 2022, but I can't promise that. So we'll see, but we do intend on coming back sometime in early 2022.
So for episode number 40 of Better Podcasting Live Chat, I'm Steven saying the word I was trying to say earlier was reinvigorate.
And MSP saying Better Podcasting Live Chat is now over the hill. See everybody in 2022. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Better Podcasting. You can find the full back catalog of Better Podcasting at betterpodcasting.com. If you're into geeky podcasts, please check out the other podcasts on the GonnaGeek Network at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. This show was produced and edited by Stephen Jondrew of GonnaGeek Productions. Voice work was done by L.W. Salinas. Thanks again for listening or watching, and we hope to see you again next week.